The release of Marvel's Eternals has definitely expressed questions regarding the film's sequel possibilities in the current Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Of the universe, but the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger.
Together, let's unveil the questions that have been lingering in our thoughts about the second part of Eternals, and dig deeper into what happened in the end credit scenes. When can we expect to see Eternals 2? Given that it hasn't been confirmed yet by Marvel, we don't have a confirmed release date for Eternals 2, but we will be waiting 2 years for it at least. The MCU has a jam-packed calendar leading up to the release of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania on July 28, 2023. On November 3, 2023, Disney has another space for a Marvel film. Thus, that might be the target date for the sequel. However, with confirmed films like Fantastic Four and Blade still awaiting a release date, we believe a possible sequel will be released in 2024. Marvel movies will be released on February 16th, May 3rd, July 26th, and November 8th this year, according to Disney. Since the MCU has grown, sequels are normally released 3 years after the initial film. Thus, the November 2024 release date appears to be a logical fit. For the time being, this is just speculation. But do not worry, we'll surely update as soon as further information becomes available. Here are the cast on which we think would be returning on the second part of Eternals. If the sequel is confirmed, we may anticipate the majority of the actors to return. But the previous film had its share of casualties. If you haven't watched the movie yet, well, this is the last part where it's gonna be spoiler-free. So heads up, spoilers ahead.
Legendary. Fashionable. Powerful.
Deviants killed Salma Hayek's Ajax with the assistance of Icarus, while head Deviant Crow, voiced by Bill Skarsgård, killed Don Lee's Gilgamesh. Richard Madden's Icarus, after realizing the folly of his actions, flew into the sun at the film's finale, supposedly to his death. However, given their 7,000-year history, none of the fatalities preclude flashbacks. That's all for deaths. But Cersei changed Leah McHugh's sprite into a human, therefore ruling out a return. If Sprite does return, it's possible that the part of McHugh will be replaced. The rest of the Eternals, including Gemma Chan's Cersei, Kumail Nanjiani's Kingo, Brian Tyree Henry's Phastos, Lauren Ridloff's Makari, Barry Keoghan's Druig, and Angelina Jolie's Thena are also expected to return.
Hello.
Kit Harington will certainly reprise his role as Dane Whitman, maybe as the Black Knight, as hinted at in the post-credit sequence. More on that later. In terms of the credit sequences, the sequel will have an added surge of star power in the shape of Harry Styles, who made his MCU debut in the mid-credit scene as Eros, aka Star Fox, or Thanos' brother. He'll be joined by Pip the Troll, who was voiced in the first movie by Patton Oswalt, and we assume he'd return. What kind of plot can we expect on the second part of the Eternals? While the first film was heavily influenced by Jack Kirby's comics, it mostly told its own story, making it difficult to predict what would happen in the sequel by looking at the comics. Fortunately, we can concentrate solely on the original film's cliffhanger finale. After defying their king and creator Orisham and preventing Tiamat from destroying Earth, the Eternals split off and think the situation is now resolved.
Thank you for this.
Oh, you're welcome.
So now that Captain Rogers and Iron Man are both gone, who do you think's gonna lead the Avengers?
I could lead them.
However, they are mistaken, as Orisham abducts Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos from Earth. Orisham informs them that he intends to examine their memories in order to determine whether mankind is worthy of survival, much like he does in the comics, where he is a celestial who determines whether a planet's civilization is worthy of life or death. For some reason, Makari, Druig, and Thena avoid Orisham as they're on board the Eternals' ship, the Domo, heading off to tell other Eternals what they learned about their true nature. They discuss how Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos have disappeared in the mid-credits sequence, and they suspect Orisham has something to do with it. Eros appears on the Domo, promising to assist them in locating their pals. While Eros and the Eternals may appear in subsequent MCU films, this feels more like a straight lead-in to Eternals 2 than another MCU production. They might be joined by the Black Knight, since Dane goes to touch the Ebony Blade in the post-credit sequence. Harrington told Digital Spy that he doesn't know what the future holds for him, but that he wouldn't rule out returning as the Black Knight. The way I live my life is trying to live in the present, especially with work. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm Dane Whitman in this movie, and go and see the movie, and you might find out a bit more. I wanted to be part of the MCU and this franchise to hopefully have a future where there's a bit more to Dane than him being human, so I hope that's coming down the line, he noted. As audiences absorb Eternals, a fresh, thematically distinct addition in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, talk about a sequel has already begun. While one might cynically conclude that such a development is based on the obvious aspects of the film's box office performance, producer Nate Moore, who worked on the project alongside studio heavyweights like Louis D'Esposito and studio head honcho Kevin Feige, is implying that the decision is ultimately based on artistic considerations. His response, though, includes the dreaded S-word, standalone. While reviews are divided, Marvel's Eternals is being praised for having the boldness to break the Marvel movie norm, as well as its varied, unusually sized cast. The film's similarly titled comic source material, created by Jack Kirby in 1976, became a blockbuster trial by fire for director Chloé Zhao, who came into the commercial crucible from the independent scene, notably with Nomadland, which recently won big at the Oscars, taking Best Picture and earning Zhao a Best Director win. However, as producer Nate Moore implies to the Toronto Sun, the film's sequel prospects are not as clear-cut as one would think. It's not something that is a must-have. Obviously, we have ideas of where we could go, but there isn't a hard and fast rule where we have to have 3 of these things, and this is the first, says Moore, with apparent ambivalence about an Eternal sequel. Moore delivers a hazy response to his sequel query that, frankly, cannot be answered responsibly at this early stage in Eternals' first release timeframe. Despite the comic title's various reboots over the years, including a 2021 relaunch that, by no accident, coincides with the debut of the film, it's evident that a publicity blitz emphasizing the film's grandiose nature was designed to pique the interest of pre-pandemic-minded fans. The cinematic premiere of The Eternals, like its immediate MCU movie predecessors, Black Widow and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, comes against circumstances that unravel a well-devised strategy, putting a franchise that formerly carried reliable sequel possibilities in extraordinary turmoil. While Eternals 2 is now characterized by ambiguity, this is not due to a lack of effort on the side of the current film's narrative. Indeed, after the climatic events, the massive ensemble was left noticeably reduced, but more solidified than ever, as emerging leader Cersei, played by Gemma Chan, and company come to the realization that Earth is worth saving, despite celestial-level plans. The film also establishes its place in the MCU by addressing the continuity issues that arose from its premise of powerful immortal cosmic beings living incognito on Earth, specifically why they remained passive even during events such as Thanos' genocidal, population-halving snap in Avengers Infinity War. I think the Infinity Stones fell into our lap and really helped connect things in ways that felt unexpected and earned. If you just watch Eternals, you can enjoy Eternals. You can understand Eternals, and you're good to go.
We have watched, unguided. We have helped them progress and seen them accomplish.
Adds more of its established connections to Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. Furthermore, the film continues the MCU's tradition of intriguing, seed-planting mid-credit scenes, hinting at Cersei's mortal love interest, Dane Whitman, played by Kit Harington, and even introduces a Thanos-connected comic character from Jim Starlin's Infinity Saga, who was noticeably absent during the MCU movie version. It's an idea that appears to undermine any conceit, implied or otherwise, that Eternals was created as a standalone cinematic product. Moore, on the other hand, holds to this belief. We felt like there was enough story that it could be a contained universe, continues Moore on the possibility of Eternals being left as a standalone. We definitely have ideas of how things can cross over later, but this movie with 10 characters and Dane Whitman and the Celestials and the Deviants there was enough for us to play with. Of course, Eternals is part of the MCU's multi-platform Phase 4 slate, which began in an unusual way this past January with the Disney Plus TV series WandaVision, which had the misfortune of airing during the epidemic. More may be hedging Marvel's chances by making a standalone assertion. It's reasonable, given that the film's performance threshold has been drastically dropped from Avengers Infinity War's $2.8 billion global pinnacle, when any entry earning less than $1 billion was considered a disappointment. In comparison, Shang-Chi's $427 million box office stash in normal times is now seen as a game-changing pandemic-era success. Shang-Chi, on the other hand, arrived under similarly unfavorable circumstances, but yet managed to connect with audiences on a human level. The Eternals, on the other hand, are a different beast, and probably a more difficult sell. While that number still puts Eternals behind July's Black Widow's $13.2 million preview night haul, and October's Sony Marvel sequel, Venom: Let There Be Carnage's $11.6 million haul, it could be a sign that Eternals is off to a good start in its opening weekend, especially with its international two-day tally boost of $19.8 million. It remains to be seen if the money will eventually speak loudly enough to support a follow-up. Hope we were able to help you answer your questions regarding the movie Eternals and dig deeper into its end scenes. What are your thoughts for the second part of Eternals? Let us know by leaving a comment down below. Also, don't forget to leave us a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.